everyone, this is Nikki from The Knotted Nest. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this adorable Easter bunny garland. You can string the bunnies as a garland, use them on an Easter wreath, or even in an Easter basket. This is an easy level 2 pattern, and it uses worsted weight yarn. The pattern is written in US terms and includes instructions for the bunnies and the flowers. I do recommend following along with the written pattern, which you can get for free on my blog, www.theknottednest.com. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more. The materials you'll need for this project are a variety of worsted weight yarn. So for the bunnies, you will need the main color. I used gray. So per bunny, you'll need about 20 yards of the main color, and then depending on how many bunnies you want to make. And then you will need just about 2 yards for the inside of the ears. It's just a small amount of white that you'll need for the inside of each ear. And for the face details, just a small amount of dark gray or black for the eyes and a little bit of pink for the nose. We're also going to use the pink to make the flowers, so you'll need about 4 or 5 yards of that per flower. And then just a small amount, maybe 1 to 2 yards of green worsted weight for the leaves. And it just depends on how many leaves you would like to make for your flowers. You're also going to need some stuffing material. This is just Polyester Fill. And our hook size is going to be a size G or 4 millimeters. We use that throughout the whole pattern. You will need a stitch marker or paper clip and your yarn needle and scissors. There are a couple of options I give in the pattern for stringing the garland. One is to use twine or just a length of yarn to just thread onto the back of the bunnies. Or you can also make a chain and attach the bunnies. But if you do use twine, you will want to get a larger yarn needle, an extra large yarn needle, because the twine probably won't fit onto a regular yarn needle. Okay, we're going to get started with the bunnies. Each bunny is made in 2 flat panels that are then joined. So we're going to start with the front panel of the bunny. To do that, you're going to make a slip knot with your main color, gray yarn, and your G hook. And we're going to chain 7. Once you've finished your 7 chains, we're going to start row 1 by working in the 2nd chain from your hook. I prefer to work in the back bump of the chain, but it's personal preference. It doesn't really matter for this pattern. So to start row 1, we're going to work an increase in that first chain. That just means you're going to work 2 single crochets in that same chain. So working right back into that same chain that you just made the first single crochet, work a second single crochet. And for the next 4 chains, we're just going to work 1 single crochet in each one. Once you get to the last chain, we're going to do another single crochet increase. So work 2 single crochets in that same chain. And so for row 1, that should give you a total of 8 single crochets. And at the end of each row, we're going to chain 1 and turn to begin the next row. This chain 1 does not count as a stitch. Okay, so we're going to start row 2 with an increase right in that very first stitch. So 2 single crochets in the very first stitch. And then 1 single crochet in each of the next 6 stitches. And we will finish off row 2 with an increase in the last stitch. and that should give you a total of 10 single crochets. And then again, we're going to chain 1 and turn to get ready to begin row 3. Rows 3 and 4 are going to follow the same pattern of increase in the first stitch, 1 single crochet in each stitch until the last, and then increase in the last. So go ahead and work rows 3 and 4, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, so you should have a total of 14 single crochets after finishing row 4. And now we're going to chain 1 and turn to get ready to start row 5. So rows 5 through 7 are going to be the same. We're going to just one single crochet in each stitch. So for rows 5, 6, and 7, 1 single crochet in each stitch. So each row will have a total of 14 single crochets. Okay, here we are at the end of row 7. We have 14 single crochets. We're going to chain 1 and turn to begin row 8, and this is where we're going to start decreasing. So to decrease, we're going to take those first 2 stitches and decrease it down to just 1. To do that, you're going to insert your hook in the first stitch and pull up a loop, and then insert your hook into the next stitch and pull up a loop. So you have 3 loops on the hook, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 stitches. So this will just give you 1 stitch where you used to have 2, hence the term decrease. For the rest of row 8, we're going to just work 1 single crochet in each of the next 10. We're going to stop with 2 stitches left and work another decrease. So insert, pull up a loop, insert into the next stitch, pull up a loop, pull through all 3 on the hook, and chain 1. So this will give you a total of 12 stitches for row 8. Rows 9 through 11 are going to follow the same pattern as row 8. So they will start off with a decrease over the first 2 stitches, 1 single crochet in each stitch until the last 2, and then finish with a decrease. So we're going to work rows 9, 10, and 11 with that same pattern, and I will meet you back here. You should end with a total of 6 stitches for row 11. Row 11 should have 6 stitches. Okay, I'm just finishing up row 11. The last 2 stitches will be a decrease, and so that should give you a total of 6 stitches for row 11. And before we move on to the next step, which will be making the first ear, we're going to stop here, do not turn, and we're going to place a stitch marker on the side that you are looking at. This will help you identify the right side of the panel, and this makes it a little easier to know where to attach the ears. So place that stitch marker on the side that you're looking at. That will be the right side, and then you can chain 1 and turn to begin the first ear. To start the first ear, we're just going to work 1 single crochet in each of the first 2 stitches, and we're going to be leaving those remaining stitches unworked for now. So 1 single crochet in each of the first 2. When you get to the second single crochet, when you still have 2 loops on your hook, we're going to switch to white yarn. So with 2 loops on your hook of that second single crochet, go ahead and cut off your main yarn and grab your white, and we're going to do the last pull through of that single crochet with white, and that will have you switched over to using white yarn. Now I like to just tie a little knot in these 2 ends so that it doesn't unravel, and you can weave those in or tuck them to the wrong side later. Okay, so now we're going to be working with white for the remainder of the ear. So we're going to chain 1 and turn to begin row 13. Row 13 is just 1 single crochet in each stitch. It's a little hard to see, but there should be those 2 stitches that we made for row 12. You're going to work 1 single crochet in each one. So row 13 will also have a total of 2 single crochets. So at the end of row 13, we're going to chain 1 and turn to begin row 14. Sorry about the filming here. So row 14 will just be an increase in each of those stitches. So we're going to work 2 single crochets in each of the stitches. So we worked 1 single crochet in that first stitch, work another single crochet in that same stitch, and then same thing for this one, 2 single crochets in that same stitch. So row 14 will have a total of 4 stitches. Okay, to get ready to start row 15, we'll chain 1 and turn. And row 15 will just be 1 single crochet in each stitch. And we will repeat that for rows 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Just 1 single crochet in each stitch, so for a total of 4 single crochets per row. And I will meet you back here at the end of row 19. Alright, here we are at the end of row 19. You should have 4 stitches at the end of row 19. We're going to chain 1 and get ready to start row 20. Row 20 will just be a decrease over the first 2 stitches, decrease over the second 2 stitches. So insert your hook into the first, pull up a loop, into the second, pull up a loop, pull through all 3, and we'll do that same thing for the next 2 stitches. This will give the top of your ear a rounded look. Okay, and that is the end of the first ear. You can cut off your yarn, fasten off, weave in your ends. And next we will start the second ear. Okay, I've woven in all the ends, and now we're going to start the second ear. To do that, you want to be looking at your panel with the right side facing you. That's why we put the stitch marker on, so you'll know which is the right side. And you're going to attach your gray yarn by inserting your hook into what would have been the first stitch you made in row 11. So insert your empty hook and grab your gray, your main color yarn, and we're going to attach that to that first stitch from row 11 with a slip stitch. And now for row 1 of this second ear, we're going to make 1 single crochet in the first 2 stitches. So that it would be that same stitch that you just slip stitched into is the first stitch, and then 1 single crochet in the next stitch. And then we'll leave those other stitches unworked. At the end of the second single crochet, we're going to switch to white, just the same as we did for the first ear. So cut off the main color yarn. And you can see here, I did this one. I did not do those first 2 stitches in gray, and here I did. I think it just looks better to have those that first row in gray and then switch to white. Okay, so we're going to pull through with white, and just like with the first ear, you can tie that off if you want to. And we'll chain 1 and turn to start row 2 of the second ear. With row 2, we will just do 1 single crochet in each stitch. So 1 single crochet in each of those 2 stitches we made for row 1. So row 2 will have a total of 2 single crochet. And we will chain 1 and turn to start row 3 of the second ear. Row 3 of the second ear is going to be the increasing row. So increase in the first stitch, increase in the second stitch. That'll be a total of 4 single crochet for row 3. And we're finishing up row 3. Row 3, remember, has a total of 4 single crochet. We'll chain 1 and turn to begin row 4. Rows 4 and 5 will just be 1 single crochet in each stitch. So a total of 4 single crochet for each row. And at the end of row 5, we are going to switch back to gray yarn to make the floppy part of the ear. So on the last single crochet of row 5, pull through with the gray yarn. And with the gray yarn, we're going to chain 1 and turn to begin row 6. Row 6 will be 1 single crochet in each stitch. So those 4 stitches, 1 single crochet in each stitch. And then at the end of the row, we will not turn. We will chain 4. This will give us something to work into to create the floppy point of the ear. So we'll chain 4. So row 6 will be a total of 4 single crochets and 4 chains. To start row 7, you will turn your work, and we will be starting row 7 by working into the second chain from your hook. So for row 7, working in that second chain from the hook, we'll start with 1 single crochet in that second chain. I don't work in the back bump here. It works out better for the way the row is. So 1 single crochet in the second chain from the hook and 1 single crochet in the next chain. In the next chain, we will work an increase. Again, sorry about the filming here. Work an increase in this next chain. So 2 single crochets in that chain. Right in that same chain, another single crochet. Alright, and for these last 4 stitches, we are going to work in the back bump only. So if you see that the usual V that you're looking at, that you would usually work under both loops, for these last 4 stitches, we're only going to be working under the back loop. And that is because we're going to leave those front loops open so that we can work a little bit of detail on them later. So we're going to do a single crochet in the back loop only of that first stitch, 1 single crochet in the back loop only of the second stitch, and we'll do a decrease in the back loop only over these last 2 stitches. And that is row 7. It's a total of 7 stitches. And now you can see here these front loops that we didn't work into, those will now be left open for us to add some detail onto later in the pattern. So you can go ahead and fasten off, weave in all of your ends, and that is going to be the end of making the front bunny panel. The next thing we need to do is to add the face details, the eyes and the nose. To add the face details, you want to be looking at the right side of your front panel, so the side with the stitch marker, but you can go ahead and take that stitch marker off, and we're going to thread a length of pink yarn for the nose. We'll start with the nose onto your yarn needle. And then you want to, starting at the bottom of the panel, count your rows up until row 4. And that is about where you want to work to place the stitches for the nose. And you're going to do this in a V shape, about in the center. So starting from the wrong side, use your yarn needle to thread through at about the top of row 4, and then in a slightly diagonal down to the bottom of row 4. Now if you find that you're making a mistake here, just go ahead and pull it out. It's simple, it's forgiving. It takes a minute to figure out where you want them to be. So make the other side of the V. And just because I think it helps it to stand out a little better, I'll do 2 passes on each side. And then you want to turn it over and tie the 2 ends together and just give that a trim. And you won't see that. It'll be on the wrong side, so you can just leave the tails. For the eyes, we'll do a slightly longer length of black or dark gray yarn. Thread that onto your yarn needle. And the eyes I found look best if you start at about row 7 and then count in from the edge about 3 stitches. And we're going to make like a line, a straight up and down line. So starting at the top of row 7 and then going back in at the bottom of row 7. And just like with the nose, you'll want to make 2 passes to help that stand out a little bit better. And you can just use that same length of yarn. You don't need to cut it off, since this will all be on the wrong side. You won't see any of that. Same thing, row 7, count in about 3 stitches from the edge and make that line shape. 2 passes and go ahead and tie the 2 ends together and trim. And so that is the finished front panel. The next step is going to be to make the back panel. And so for that, this will just be the exact same instructions as the front panel, but only using gray yarn. So we will not switch to white for the ears. The whole ears will be gray, and you will not add the face details to the back panel. So you can go back to the instructions for the front panel and follow them the same exact way, except do not switch to white. Alright, so now we have the front and back panel. Here is what the back panel looks like. Same exact instructions as the front, only using gray yarn and no face details. The next step for these bunnies, the last step, is going to be to join the front and back panels with a single crochet. To do that, we're going to lay the front panel on top of the back, and you want to have the right side facing you, so the face will be facing you. And we're going to attach the gray yarn right at the base of the first ear on the inside, and we're going to use that to single crochet through both panels all the way around until we get to about an inch or 2 from the top, and then we'll stuff it. And then we'll continue to join the second ear after the face has been stuffed. Okay, so let's go ahead and join the gray yarn. So to do that, you're going to insert your hook through both panels right at the base of the first ear on the inside. Sorry, it's hard to get that to focus. So insert your empty hook and then lay your gray yarn over and pull through both panels. And you can go ahead and slip stitch that to secure it. And now what we're going to do is single crochet through both of the panels. So make sure that you're getting through both layers so that you can join them. And this is something that you just have to kind of eyeball. to know where to place your stitches. Try to do it as evenly as possible. Take your time. If you put your stitch in and it doesn't look good, go ahead and pull it back out and try another spot. You're going to go up around the top of the ear and back down the other side. And once you get to the bottom of the ear, right at this part where the ear joins the head, I think it looks better to work a slip stitch instead of a single crochet. It just helps the indent to be a little bit more pronounced. So go ahead and slip stitch right there. And then we'll just continue single crocheting through both panels all the way around the side of the head and the bottom. We'll stop with about 2 inches left on the other side. Okay, so we've single crocheted all around the bottom, and now we're going to stop and lightly stuff just the face part of the bunny. You don't need to worry about the ears. And when I say lightly stuff, you just want to, like, less is more. Add some in until you get you don't want it to be so full that it's bursting. Just enough to give it a little bit of a 3D effect. And then you'll just continue to single crochet through both layers to join the panels. You do want to remember at the base of that second ear to do the slip stitch to make that indent more pronounced. And then continue to single crochet up the outside of the second ear. You'll want to stop when you get to the top of the white stitches, kind of right where the floppy part of the ear is, and again slip stitch. And this is where we're going to fasten off the first part of joining the panels, and we will reattach at a different spot to finish joining the panels. So you can weave in those ends, and then we will start part 2 of joining the panels. So part 1 was just joining around the first ear and around the bottom of the face. Part 2 is going to be working around the bottom of the floppy ear, the top, down the inside of the second ear, and across the top of the head. To do that, you're going to turn the whole head upside down so that the ears are nearest you. And we're going to start by working in the unworked loops that we left from row 7. So we're going to insert our hook under what would have been the last unworked loop from row 7. It'd be the one on the inside of the 2 ears. You're going to pull through with the gray yarn through that unworked loop and make a slip stitch. Make sure that's tight. You can weave in that end later. So you should have 3 unworked loops left. We're going to slip stitch in each of those 3 unworked loops, making our way across. So slip stitch, you'll have 4 slip stitches to start this part 2. And you can already kind of see this is what gives it the look of the ear flapping over. And now we're going to work around the point of the floppy ear. So this is a little bit tricky because the stitches are just a little bit hard to work into, but go ahead and insert your hook wherever you can. You might have to wiggle it a little bit. You might only be able to work under 1 loop, but you want to single crochet through both panels. Make sure you're getting at least 1 loop of both panels to join them. And I would say, you want to make maybe 2 to 3 single crochets across the bottom of the floppy ear here. And then once you get to the point, I tried to work 2 single crochets in 1 spot, and that helps it be a little bit more of a rounded corner. So you sort of see where the ear is forming here. And then across the top of the ear, it's not so tricky because you're going to be working right into the top of those stitches that you made from row 7. So you're going to go ahead and single crochet through both layers across the top of the ear. and then continue to single crochet down the inside of the ear. This, you can see, we're going to go right across where we made the first slip stitch of part 2. So we'll be single crocheting almost right over that join, which helps to keep the join a little bit more invisible. Alright, so when you get to the bottom of the inside of the ear, we're going to slip stitch just like we did on the outside to give that indent a little bit more definition. And then there should be 2 stitches at the top of the head that are unworked. We're going to single crochet through both panels through those 2. So 2 single crochet across the top of the head. And the last thing you're going to do to finish up this bunny head is to slip stitch to the base of the first ear on the inside. And that is going to finish off joining the 2 panels and complete the bunny head. Super cute. So you can go ahead and fasten off and weave in the ends. And then depending on what you want to do with the bunny heads, make as many as you need. I made 4 for a 6-foot garland. You can make more or less if you want to make a wreath or use them in Easter baskets. Whatever you want to do with them. The written pattern also includes instructions for how to make Mollie flowers, which I used in the garland, so I will go over those in this video tutorial as well. To start the Mollie flower, you're going to make a magic circle by holding the starting end of your yarn in your hand and then wrapping the yarn around your fingers so that it creates an X over the palm side of your fingers, and 2 lines on the back of your fingers. And then you'll just insert your hook under the first line and then reach through and grab the second line. If you need a little bit more instructions on how to make a magic circle, there are a lot of great tutorials on YouTube. So the next step is going to be to slip stitch to secure that circle, and then we will begin round 1 by working around that circle. So we're going to work 12 single crochets into that magic circle. So you're working around the circle, working right into the center, making 12 single crochets into that magic circle. Okay, once you have your 12 single crochets in the magic circle, you're going to go ahead and pull that magic circle tight by pulling on the starting tail, nice and tight. And then to join the round, we will slip stitch into the very first single crochet that you made. And that is the center of the Mollie flower. The rest of the flower is made 1 petal at a time, so we'll make 6 petals, and each petal will cover 2 stitches. So to start petal 1, we will chain 2, and then we're going to be working into the same stitch that we slip stitched into. So the very first stitch of the center will work right into that same stitch. To do that, you're going to yarn over, insert into that same stitch that you slip stitched into to join the round, yarn over and pull up a loop. And you want to pull this up nice and tall, because this will be the height of your petal is however tall you can pull that up. Yarn over, insert back into that same stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and we're going to do that one more time for a total of 7 loops on the hook. And then we're going to work into the next stitch by doing the same thing. Yarn over, insert into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. We'll do it 3 times in that stitch as well. So you should have 13 loops on the hook, and we will yarn over and pull through all 13 loops. And then to close that petal, we will chain 3. And then to secure the petal back to the center, you'll slip stitch into that second stitch that we worked into, that we just finished working into. Slip stitch into that base of the second stitch. The final step in making the petal is going to be to work a slip stitch into the next stitch. So that would be the third stitch of the center. And this doesn't really have to do with the petal itself, but it sets you up to make the next petal. So that means you will start working the next petal into that stitch that you just made the slip stitch into. So you will repeat the petal instructions for petals 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. A total of 6 petals. And I will meet you back here once we do that. So I'm just finishing up the 6th petal by pulling through all 13 loops. We'll chain 3 and then slip stitch into that second stitch of the petal to finish the last one. You can go ahead and fasten off and then tie the 2 ends together to secure the whole thing. Depending on how you decide to string your garland, you can either leave these tails long and use them to tie the flower to your garland, or you can use your yarn needle to weave them in and trim off the excess. The final piece we're going to make for this garland is a very simple crocheted leaf, and this piece is just made by working around both sides of a starting chain. So to start this, you're going to take some worsted weight yarn in green, make a slip knot using your G hook, and we'll start the leaf by chaining 8. Okay, we have 8 chains, and we're going to start by working down the back side of the chain in the second chain from the hook. So this is the front, the side with the V shape, and we're going to turn it over and work in the back bump. So in the second chain from the hook, we'll do one single crochet in the back bump of that chain. And in the next chain, we'll work 1 single crochet. The next chain will be 1 half double crochet. And the next chain will be another half double crochet. So far we've had a single crochet, half double crochet, and then the next 2 we'll do a double crochet and then another double crochet. In the final chain, we will work 6 double crochets into that one chain. Okay, so you can see how we worked down one side of the chain and we're starting to come around to the other side. So we're going to rotate the work and work along the other side of the chain. So turn it over. Now that very first chain, we've already worked 6 double crochets into, that little bitty one there. So we're going to skip that and we'll go with we'll insert into the next chain. And here we'll make 1 double crochet. And in the next chain, we'll make 1 double crochet. Then just like the other side, we'll do 1 half double crochet, one half double crochet, and then 1 single crochet in each of the last 2 chains. To finish off the leaf, just slip stitch to the first single crochet that we made. And you can fasten off and weave in that end. You'll need to leave the starting tail, don't weave it in, because that's what we'll use to sew the leaf to the flower. And then it's up to you if you want to do 1 leaf per flower or you can do 2 leaves per flower. I decided to just do 1, but either way looks cute. To attach the leaf to the flower, you're just going to thread that starting tail onto a yarn needle and then make a couple passes through the leaf and through the back of one of the petals. Just through those back stitches. So you can repeat that process for as many flowers as you want to have. I decided to do 4 bunny heads and 3 flowers for a 6-foot garland. In the written pattern, I give 2 options for how to string the garland, and in this video I'm going to show you the option of stringing it onto a length of twine. So you'll need an extra large yarn needle and a length of twine. And for each bunny, you're going to flip it over to the back and then use your yarn needle to thread through a couple of stitches on the back of each ear near the top. It's not the easiest job to get the yarn needle through, but if you just wiggle, you can pull that twine through pretty easily. And if you use a larger twine like this, it helps the bunnies stay where you put them on the twine and not slide around. So on the second ear, again, just through the back of a couple of stitches. And you definitely want to make sure you do 2 points, so the top of both ears, so that it hangs correctly. And you'll just repeat that for each bunny. I did bunny flower. So next we'll talk about how to do the flowers. Again, pretty straightforward. We're just going to use the yarn needle to thread the twine through the back of one of the petals. So just decide where you want it to be hanging and then slide right through the back of one of the petals. As I said, in the written pattern, there are instructions for how to make a chain out of yarn and how to attach the bunnies and flowers to the chain. But I really like the look of using the twine. So you can repeat that same process for each bunny and flower, and that's it. That is the Easter Bunny garland. I hope you enjoyed making this pattern. It's a really fun one to make, I think. If you do make this, please tag me on Instagram at theknottednest. I love to see what people do with the patterns that I have designed. And if you found this video helpful, please like it and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. And thank you for being here, and thanks for following along today.